Trump immigration policy in the second term. What families need to know. You know that it's coming. You know we're going to have a new president. And the impact on family immigration is going to be significant. What categories of family immigration might change? How is it going to impact visa processing abroad? And many more things we'll cover in this video. So in this video, we'll talk about Trump's second term as president. We'll talk about the impact specifically in this video on family immigrations. And the ideas and what we're going to talk about are coming from a few points. First of all, the promises that he made in the campaign, talking about deportations, mass detentions, canceling a bunch of executive orders, and many things like that. The second thing we're going to look at is what previous term Trump did to impact family immigration. Many things that he did before might come back in a bigger impact. And finally, the Biden administration enacted a lot of executive orders. Many of them might be reversed in the first 3 months of the Trump administration. We'll talk about how that's going to impact specifically family immigration. If you remember, under the first Trump administration, there were many restrictions that impacted family immigrations, from travel bans to public charge and many other very difficult policies. Many of those policies might come back, and we're going to explore them one by one. But before we do that, if you're here for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos, and also give us a big like so YouTube will be able to show this video to more people just like you. As always, if you need help with your immigration matters, send me a text, 619-483-4549. If you need help, if you're concerned about what's going to happen, please send me a text or go to www.immigrationasap.com. Leave your details there, and one of our team members will contact you ASAP. Now, let's jump back into the video. So let's go through these family-based immigration policies that might be impacted under Trump term number 2. So let's talk first about the public charge rule. The public charge rule was introduced more strict guidance under the Trump administration and made it very difficult for people to qualify. He asked for their credit reports. If you take certain benefits from the government, you will be penalized, forcing people to produce bank accounts, credit reports. It was really extensive. And under the Biden administration, it was reversed, completely removed, and went back to what it used to be. What is the prediction for public charge rule under the Trump administration, new term? We believe that it's going to come back. More strict requirements under the Trump administration, and coming back with a more refined, stricter rule for public charge, making it more difficult for families, for U.S. citizens to sponsor family members. So again, if you're thinking about sponsoring a family member, you need to do this now if you're ready. The second thing that we look at is mandatory adjustment of status interviews in the United States. If you remember, under the Biden administration, many of these interviews were waived, both for consulate processing and adjustment of status. We feel that that is going to come back. More interviews, more scrutiny, and as a result, more wait times. If you remember, under the Biden administration, we had a lot of interview waivers. In fact, that was completely removed, even for adjustment of status. Expect that to come back, more interviews and more scrutiny. Number 3, related to the public charge rule, we're looking about sponsor income requirement. Under the Trump administration, they increased the income requirement, making it more difficult for people to qualify to sponsor a relative. The Biden administration reversed it, completely get rid of it. What do you expect under the Trump administration? Going back up to higher rates, higher income requirements for family members, which was going to make it more complicated for people to sponsor family members. Let's talk about Form I-944, Declaration of Self-Sufficiency. This is a form that the Trump administration introduced to show whether immigrants are able to, if they come to the United States, they have sufficient income to be able to start their life here. It was very stringent, very complicated form, and many people had a lot of issues when they had to fill this form. The Biden administration removed it completely and expect this form to come back with a more expanded version of it, making it more complicated for people to show that they are able to come to the United States self-sufficient with sufficient income. They will check in their education level, and also making it kind of like a point system style to qualify to immigrate to the United States. It is coming back under the Trump administration. Next, Let's talk about processing delays, specifically for family-based immigration. This is something that increased under the Trump administration. We had very, very significant processing delays outside of COVID. More and more people are getting into admin processing, 221G. Biden administration, it was much better. A lot of these processing delays were eliminated, and now we see almost coming back to pre-pandemic processing times, even before Trump became president. Under the new administration with Trump, you're going to see more processing delays. More and more people are going to get into 221G, and it's going to make it more complicated for families to be united. Let's talk about K-1 visas, fiancé visas. Under the Trump administration, there was a slow processing times for K-1 visas. They continued through Biden's, of course, but I can tell you that in the past year, K-1 visas are definitely much faster than marriage cases, and more people are applying for K-1 visas. Well, guess what? We're going to see harder and longer processing time for K-1s under the new Trump administration. Let's talk about mixed status families, where we have a U.S. citizen and an undocumented person living. Under the Trump administration, they imposed severe restrictions on mixed families, and quite a few executive orders that targeted these kind of families. It was very complicated for them to sponsor family members, and under the Biden administration, it was eliminated completely. Well, guess what? It will come back under the Trump administration. If you're a mixed family with living with an undocumented person, one is a U.S. citizen, expect more hardship and more scrutiny as you're trying to legalize or even file your taxes. Let's talk about waivers, I-601s, and all other waivers. Under the Trump administration, it was very difficult to get those waivers. Many of them were sitting for years in processing. Today, we have long processing for waivers, but they are good. We had a very low approval of waivers under the Trump administration, and expect, first of all, longer processing times and more denials coming for waivers because, again, less and less people are going to be allowed to come back. And finally, travel bans. You're going to see more and more of these travel bans reinstated. It's going to make it more difficult for people to go and apply for visas. People who are sitting at U.S. embassies looking for interviews, you're not going to be able to get the interview because of these travel bans. So again, if you're able to get your appointment sooner, if you're able to get your interviews now, do not reschedule them. Try to get it as soon as you can. Push on your case at MVC. Get yourself documented complete as soon as you can. Complete your processing right now before they take office, because we just don't know what's going to happen. Again, I don't think it's going to be implemented as fast as he comes to office. It will take some time for this to take over, especially on the embassy side, but you need to be proactive right now. All in all, you'll see that for family immigration, it's going to for family immigration, it's going to be more complicated under the second Trump administration, just because what we've seen in the past. If I'm wrong, maybe. I hope I'm wrong. But it is important for you guys to prepare and stay proactive. Work on your files early, file as soon as you can, and don't sleep on your immigration case. Once again, if you need help with your immigration matters, send me a text, 619-483-4549, or go to www.immigrationsap.com. Leave your details and one of our team members will contact you ASAP. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.